Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Jules and on my channel I like to talk at length about my opinions on colour and colour theory and how I feel very passionate about it as a concept in general. So if you are into that kind of thing, I quite often use watercolours as my example for this. It seems to go down quite well with a lot of people. Watercolours are a really beautiful medium. If you like that kind of thing, I also do sketchbook tours because I keep a regular sketchbook practice and I like to share that with you guys as well. So do hit like and subscribe if you like those things. It means the world to me, and thank you so much everybody for all of the amazing feedback on my last video. It's always really nice to see so many nice comments and to have like a really great discussion with everyone. All right, with that out of the way, on to this week's video. So recently I've been thinking about limited palettes and also like my ideal mixing paints. And so this got me thinking back to my very first ever watercolors that I bought back in, I think it must have been 2021. So now we're talking like 2 or 3 years ago. And I was wondering to myself, oh, but I can't remember exactly what colours I chose. So before I got into watercolours, I was watching a lot of watercolour content on YouTube, which is partially why I decided to start making it, because you make what you want to see in the world. And I was really in deep on the pigments and the watercolours, and I took a trip to Berlin, where there's an amazing art shop which sells Roman Szmal watercolors, like open stock. And so I knew that this would be my opportunity to purchase myself some watercolors. And the watercolor that got me into Roman Szmal to begin with was, unsurprisingly, Misty Morning. So much like everyone else in the world, at some point I tried watercolors when I was younger, so this is some of my collection now. I mean, obviously I have way too many paints. I'm going to swatch out these colours for you today, and we can discuss them while I'm swatching them. I hope that sounds good. We're under a little bit of artificial lighting today because it's absolutely miserable outside, but I will make sure to give you a close-up and make sure you can actually see the colours properly. So this is Misty Morning, which is a mixture of cobalt teal and quinacridone violet. And this is the colour that I asked for Christmas 2021. Okay, so it's probably 2022 then. Because I was new to the concept of colours which can look a certain way in the mass tone, but then separate out into multiple different colours when they dry, and you will see when it dries. In fact, you can kind of see already now, it's just that the glare is kind of difficult. But you can see that it separates into this wonderful turquoise and sort of a pink colour. And I was just absolutely taken by this, breathtaken, absolutely stunned. And so I thought, this is amazing. I simply must try more of these watercolours. And I started thinking about what colours I would buy. And I made so many spreadsheets and presentations where I was moving around ideas for my palette. And then I was looking back the other day and I found this watercolour sketchbook, which I also bought on the trip in Berlin. So I figured that I'd probably swatch them out in this book immediately. And found this is on the very first page. And there was definitely a couple of colours in here which really surprised me. And so I thought I would go through and give my opinions of them now, having used watercolours for a year and a half, whether these are still the colours that I would choose for my initial palette, or whether I have like other preferences now, basically, because I think it's very interesting to do that comparison. So hopefully you think so too. And if you've had a similar experience to me where you started buying watercolors open stock and then sort of expanded your collection from there, let me know which colors you started with. And I'm just going to dive right in. So the red that I chose, I only chose one red for my first watercolor palette, and the red that I chose is Aquarius Red. And I was also going for, like, I don't know, slightly more unique pigments that Roman Szmal has, because I was, I'm a scientist by nature, and I was very curious about all of the pigments and wanted to try some of the unusual ones that were available if I was going to be, spending my hard-earned money on it. And Aquarius Red is an absolutely stunning red. It's quite a true red. It's a little on the pink side, like it's not a warm red. but it's quite a true red, so I decided that I would choose this one because it seemed to be like a middle of the road, and it's also, I think I chose quite a lot of Roman Schmal's like named colours, like the Aquarius colours, because I figured that those would be the ones which they really, really, well, you know, they put their name on it, so they must mean it, right? So that was the Aquarius red. And then the other colour that I got was Aquarius orange. So this is a pretty, I think there was like rumours that this was the same pigment used in Winsor & Newton's like transparent orange or something at some point. It doesn't have a pigment number, it's PONA. But it's also a really, really stunning colour. Like absolutely true orange, like a mandarin. And it's a transparent and non-granulating colour. So these colours are both, actually I think they're technically semi-transparent, but I would say that they're transparent enough. You know, you don't notice that they have some kind of covering effect when you use them. So these were the two colours that I chose because I am really in love with a nice orange. So to me, if I'm going to include, I understand the principle, first of all. Even back then, I understood the principle of a mixing palette, of a split primary, cool and warm mixing palette. So I guess I just wanted to branch out and go based on vibes and see which colours I actually really liked. And the third colour that I got was Nickel Azo Yellow. So this is my so-called ultimate palette. It's been through a little bit of an evolution since I last filmed a video on it. I'm going to rinse that off, actually. I think I was using that to mix greens. But I think it is telling that the colours that I bought from Roman Schmal for my first ever shopping trip for those paints is a lot of them are still in that palette. And this is Nickel Azo Yellow, which is the most amazing pigment. So it's going to be hard to see right now, but it basically goes from this very almost yellow ochre kind of colour. And if you wash it out into into a wash, it turns into the most glowing sunflower yellow. It's an absolutely stunning pigment. Would I choose it as my only yellow now? I don't know. I think that my taste may have changed a little bit. However, you cannot deny that this is a beautiful yellow for mixing both greens, amazing greens, and also very glowing oranges. It's often used in the quinacridone gold hues, which are available on the market now. But if you've made it to this video, then you probably know that already. Up next is Deep Green Gold, PY129, which is often just known as green gold in other brands. You can see I'm hitting pan on the green gold. I wanted to try this because I was watching Aliona Creates, and also I think that Denise Soden says this as well, that they often use this colour in place of a cool yellow for mixing greens, and I at the time was really not a fan of like a lemon yellow kind of shade, and so I jumped at the chance to use something else instead. And it is a wonderful sort of like, I don't know, vibrant, very yellow olive green, I would describe this as, if you didn't understand how to describe green gold. You know, it's definitely incredibly saturated, but it's not super chromatic, but it is a beautiful pigment, really glows off the paper as well. So these two are like they are siblings to me. One of them is just more warm toned and the other one is more cool toned. I really like this pigment still, but I don't think I use it as much as I thought I might. If we're going through the colour range, then the next colour is a real curveball. I did not remember that I bought this colour at my first ever set, and that's this Cobalt Green Deep. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was interested in the granulation, and also the fact that it's like a cobalt colour. I mean, it's not that it's a bad colour. Nothing wrong with it at all. But when I look back at this, it really cemented in me my idea to make this video, because I was stunned. I was like, why did I buy Cobalt Green Deep as the green in my first ever watercolour palette, you know? By the way, this paper I'm switching on today is a little bit different to my usual paper. It's a, I think I bought this from Jackson's, but you can get them from anywhere. It's just a square watercolour sketchbook And the paper is made by Constant Papier, which is a German paper company. Well, it's kind of in the name. But they supply to many different stores and suppliers. So if you buy like a very affordable entry-level watercolor sketchbook, it's likely to be this paper. I just find it's very good for swatches. I keep this little book for swatches. Maybe I could do a flip through one day if you guys are interested in that. But then we can see how this Misty Morning has separated. Let me bring that up. You see that beautiful separation? This is what really sold me on watercolor. But yes, this Cobalt Green Deep, lovely, cool, blue leaning green, very granulating. Weird choice for a for a first set. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I was experimenting. Up next is Transparent Turquoise, which is a mixture. I think there's something else in there as well. It's a mixture of phthalo green blue shade. Yes, phthalo green blue shade, PG7, and phthalo blue green shade. If I said the same thing twice, then you know what I mean. Just switch them around. It's hard to keep track when you're just speaking. And it's this most amazing, oh, you can't even see, hang on. You will see though. Caribbean kind of turquoise colour. Oh my gosh. I really love this colour. And the thing is that I don't really like phthalo green or phthalo blue, but I absolutely love this colour. God, it just hits it just right for me. So this is the colour that I, you know, would, it was my compromise basically, because I know that phthalo blue green shade, yes, is often used as a core component of mixing palettes for mixing really vibrant greens, and it's a very intense staining colour, which can be helpful sometimes. I just don't particularly, I have it now. I do have phthalo blue green shade, but I don't know. I find that this paint, I like it way more than the phthalo blue green shade. Anyway, I stand by that decision. No questions there. Another one, which has really been like a ride or die for me, is this Cobalt Teal, which is also kind of dirty, because this is a very lived-in palette, and also I'm really hitting pan on the Cobalt Teal. I definitely need to get another one, which is PG50, so it's not it's a cobalt. It's a green pigment rather than you can also get Cobalt Teals, which are PB28, which is just a cobalt blue pigment. And this is just a really, really nice colour. I think that this is just, you can't mix this colour. It's a turquoise that you cannot mix. And I have realised about myself, which I think is also evident from the Transparent Turquoise, that I prefer a green leaning turquoise than a blue leaning turquoise. That's just me. And all of the opinions in this video are just that. They are just opinions. I'm just sharing with you guys so that you can relate to your own experience and give me some feedback on what you think about my choices. But yeah, I no regrets on this one. I really love it. It makes amazing mixes. It granulates just a little bit. Like, it's not a super strong granulation. It's just a very mild granulation, and I really like that about it. Beautiful by itself, beautiful in mixes. 10 out of 10 would choose for my first palette again, because it really is one of those things that you cannot replicate. Up next is French Ultramarine. Oh my god, I can't look at this colour without getting extremely happy. This is just a stunning colour, and Roman Schmalz is to date my favourite French Ultramarine. It is just so saturated, so blue. It is a granulating colour, which can sometimes make it a little bit awkward in mixes, but to be honest, I could just paint with this, you know? Like, it's so beautiful in the mass tone, and then it's so wonderfully delicate in a wash as well. I could not recommend French Ultramarine enough. I know it's a boring choice, okay? Like, I know there's nothing, it's not a hot take to have French Ultramarine in your first watercolour palette. But personally speaking, I don't just think it has utility for mixing. I personally am just incredibly attracted to it as a colour. If you don't like it, then you could use a good Inland Throne blue as your warm blue, or a phthalo blue red shade, or you could just not. you know, live your life. If you don't like warm blue, you're never gonna use it. Buy a really nice pre-mixed or like a dioxazine violet so you don't have issues getting to violets, and just go from there. Live your best life, you know? I feel like that's not a sentiment that's like portrayed often enough in watercolor media. I understand it's important to tell people the theory and you know, and the actual reasoning behind what is being taught as the basics often, but in the end it's just art, you know? There aren't any rules. Buy what you'll use. Up next is the Perylene Violet. I hadn't thought this far ahead because the Perylene Violet I use now is from Schminke, because I tried their Perylene Violet and I like it way more than the Roman Schmall one, though this is an entirely personal opinion. I mean, I obviously still have the Roman Schmall Perylene Violet. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this colour whatsoever. It is my favourite violet tone. I think that violet is kind of pushing it, to be honest, because it's definitely a very reddish, like almost more of a burgundy kind of colour. Just wash it out for you. But I just find that I just prefer the feeling of using the Schminke one, but there's nothing wrong with this one whatsoever. It's just the most wonderful sort of wine-toned purple, and I find that it mixes really nicely with other colours as well. The only thing that people always say about Perylene colours, before I can hear people typing in the comment section right now, is that they have a drying shift. I think that this one is not too bad. I think that the Schminke one has even less of a drying shift. Oh my god, that French ultramarine. Just look at it. Wow. Yeah, Perylene colours do have a drying shift. This one isn't too bad. It's not like a really poor quality version. I do just prefer the Schminke one. I don't know. I think it's also deeper. But I was really glad that I bought this again, and I would totally include a Perylene Violet, possibly this one, you know, since I was buying all from the same brand. No reason why I wouldn't buy this one. But yes, and then so I was really limiting myself. I was like, you can buy 10 colours maximum. I ended up buying 11 colours, but one of them I will not swatch for you today, and I'll tell you why. But the other final colour that I bought was Aquarius Grey. So this is PW6:1. Okay, but it's just like it's like a buff titanium, but grey. I think that the pigment in other brands is called grey titanium, and it's basically like a even less pure version of buff titanium. So it's like got even more impurities in the titanium pigment, which make it this wonderful soft grey. It is definitely a warm grey rather than a cool grey. Would I prefer it if it was a cool grey? Maybe. Do I find myself using it? Not really. Would I prefer a buff titanium? Probably yes. But there's nothing wrong with this paint. It's absolutely beautiful. It does also granulate quite a lot, and I think I would prefer it if it granulated less. I have since purchased a tube of, hang on, let me see if I can find it. Purchased a tube of gouache from Holbein, which was their light grey number 2 or something. God, the organisation in this at this desk is not good. But yes, basically I bought a tube of grey gouache, which I think is maybe more what I would be looking for rather than the granulating grey. Though there's so many good uses for this pigment. I did a video mixing with buff titanium, grey titanium, and titanium white to make like different pastel colours. So if you're interested in that, you can totally go check that out in the colour mixing playlist. So much good content there. And the last colour, which I do not have and will not swatch for you, is Aquarius Black, which is PBK11. So it's that granulating black that a lot of brands use in their super granulating colours that contain black. Mine has for some reason like gone really dry and will not reactivate. And to be honest, I'm not sure I really like loved it all that much to begin with. I don't know if I got like a bad pan, because I've seen other people use it. But yeah, it's just not really my bag anyway. I don't really use it, and I don't think I will be repurchasing it. But so I guess that's my answer, is that I personally have found that I do not use granulating blacks. Not really that bothered about granulating blacks, so I probably would not include the Aquarius Black again. However, nothing wrong with the paint. I see people use it all the time on YouTube or on Instagram, and their uses look beautiful. So follow your dreams. So this is the summary of the first colours that I bought, and they're a little bit drier now, so there's less glare. So I think that what I'm going to do is on the opposite page is maybe to think about what colours I would use instead if I was going to buy myself a set of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 watercolours. And I'm doing this completely on the fly, just so you know. Like, I'm not, I don't know what I'm going to say, really. But I wanted to kind of take it off the cuff, so you get my actual opinions just based on what I use right now. And so I think that I would absolutely 100% in any life buy Misty Morning. I think Misty Morning is a stunning colour. I don't think it's necessarily my favourite of the ones in the family. So there's sort of like 3 shadow violet-y colours from Roman Schmal, and I don't know if it's my favourite. I think I'm going to do a video on my top 10 favourite colours from Roman Schmal, but I figured that this one will be a bit of a different video because it's not exactly what I would recommend as a starting palette. It's mostly just literally which ones do I like the best. What would I recommend you buy if you buy from Roman Schmal and you have similar colour taste to me? That's the caveat, because obviously everybody's going to choose something different. But before I get too distracted, moving on, what would I use instead of this Aquarius Red? I probably would not use the Aquarius Red. I would instead use the Permanent Alizarin Crimson, which is a much more pink version of the red. Yeah, I don't know. I just really, really like this colour. I think it's just very, very versatile. It's a little bit cooler than the Aquarius Red, so it mixes really, really nice violets. But I really, really like this colour. I find myself using it more and more. I can always remember the pigment right up until I need to say it on video. It is PR176, which is quite a common pigment that's used in replacement for alizarin crimson. So yeah, I can totally use that one. I think that I would probably still include Nicolazo Yellow. I don't know if I would include Deep Green Gold, you know? I don't know if I use it enough. This is causing me to do some soul searching. But I think I would also include a second, instead of including an orange, I would probably include a second red. Sorry for shaking the camera there. And the red that I chose might be Perylene Scarlet, which is a new colour, which they released this year. But I think that this is like my sort of soulmate red. I just really, really love this colour. It's sort of a poppy red. Like, it's not too warm, not too orangey, but it would mix beautiful oranges. It's also not super, super saturated. And the pigment number on that one, I'm pretty sure it's Perylene Scarlet. They released 2 colours, well, they released a lot of Perylene colours this year actually, or last year, but they were Perylene Scarlet and Perylene Vermilion. This one is Perylene Scarlet PR149, which is also quite a common pigment available in other brands, but I would seek it out in any brand. I just really like it. And then I think I would still go with the Nicolazo Yellow. You just can't beat those mixes that it makes for greens especially. So Nicolazo Yellow stays. Let's swatch that out here again so we can keep track of what we have. Really, really like that colour. It's making me rediscover Nicolazo Yellow actually. I should go back to using it again more often. So we've got 4 colours down, so that means we've got 7 colours left. I'm trying to think about like how I would... So basically I've just kind of gone back to the more traditional primary situation here, which is quite funny. But I think that it's totally honest. That's what I would do. If I was going to choose a green, I think I might choose instead like an actual green. So instead of choosing like the cobalt green and the deep green gold, I think I would probably go for... Oh, would I though? So here's the thing. I have two greens that I really like. I really like the Hooker's Green, which is a mixture of Prussian Blue and PY150, so this colour here. But then you can also just mix it, you know, if you include Prussian Blue. So I think that the colour that I would actually include would be Perylene Green, which is a colour that I have from Roman Schmal, and I also replaced it with the Schminke version. But I would totally use the Roman Schmal version, so I'll swatch that one for you here, since that's what we're discussing today. But it's just a really, really beautiful deep forest green, and it mixes really wonderfully with the Nicolazo yellow. You have to believe me. Again, this isn't my favourite version of a Perylene Green, though it's a beautiful colour. But I just prefer the Schminke version. The only way to find out this is to try it for yourself. I can recommend getting like dot cards, so you can try out just like a tiny bit of the colours from a brand and decide which colours you think they do particularly well, because every watercolour brand, no matter the price point, has colours they do well and colours they do less well. So yeah, I would implore you to check for that. I think that so maybe on the note of the greens situation, I would include Prussian Blue. So this was like a recent find for me, sort of like in the last year or so. It looks like I haven't used it at all, but it's just because it's a really deep colour, very pigmented. It's my favourite Prussian Blue. I've always been a little bit disappointed by Prussian Blues before, but the Roman Schmal one is just absolutely amazing. I know some people have light fastness concerns with Prussian Blue, but I do not, because I don't sell my work. So it's just for me, and I think it's a really, really nice option for a cool blue. It mixes excellent greens. I mean, that's literally how they make the Hooker's Green that I like so much, with this colour and this colour. So being able to mix those together is just a great option to me. I would definitely still include the French Ultramarine. That is never leaving me, even though I do sometimes have issues with it for mixing. I just can't be without it. Sometimes you just need, I just like to paint designs, like more illustrative designs, just only using ultramarine. I think it's a really beautiful standalone colour, and it does make really nice granulating mixes. So I totally recommend it. And in the same vein, I would definitely still include the Cobalt Teal, because it is a ride or die. You cannot mix it. You cannot replace it. If you don't like it, then that's fine. I do, so I would include it still in my palette. I think it's gonna be interesting to see how many of these colours I would actually buy again. So we're already up to 8 colours, and I can only choose 3 more. Which colours do I choose? Oh, there's too many options. You know, I think I would still choose the Perylene Violet. I think that the Perylene Violet is still a real favourite of mine. And these are not in, I'm trying, you know, these might not end up in rainbow order, by the way, if I decide to add in another colour at the end. But the Perylene Violet is just such a nice colour. I just think it's really nice. I think I did a comparison of all my violet paints. So if you're interested in the difference between the Schminke version and this version, then I would check out that video, because you get like an up close and personal comparison of those. But this colour palette looks, isn't it interesting? Oh, sorry about the flies. Isn't this interesting how this colour palette looks a little bit dimmer, just because of the fact that it doesn't have an extra yellow, which I find incredibly curious, because I don't really use lemon yellow for mixing that much. But I think that a colour that I would actually use if I had access to it would be like a Hansa yellow medium, so like something which is less, I don't know, this has just like the Nicolazo yellow is very versatile, but it has like a vibe to it that I find, it mixes like a very specific type of colour. Okay, so this is also a working palette. This is where I keep my warm colours. The Aquarius Orange was right here. So this is the Hansa Yellow medium in the middle. It's PY74. And it really is just like a yellow. You know, if you want to paint something yellow, then this is probably the primary that I would choose. I think, ironically, the primaries that I would choose for a core primary palette are the Permanent Alizarin Crimson, the Prussian Blue, and this Hansa Yellow Medium. And they're all ending up in the same column. But you see the difference in character between... Sorry about the camera shake. This Hansa Yellow Medium and the Nicolazo Yellow. They're just very different in properties. Like, this is an incredibly transparent, slightly more muted, warmer yellow, and then this is also a very nice, it's not a cool yellow, but it's a mid yellow, and I think it's just a much more flatter, and it has wonderful mixing properties, so I'd probably include it to brighten the whole thing up. And then I need one more paint. You can only take one more paint with you, and I think that honestly the thing that I might take is a brown, which sounds incredibly boring, doesn't it? Doesn't that just sound like so dull? I'm just trying to look for the brown that I am thinking of, because the brown that I'm thinking of is the brown that they released this last year called Natural Umber Reddish. Oh, I just got paint all over my finger. Look at that. Great, Jules. Great one. Well, good job we're near the end of the video. But anyway, it's in the middle here. That was Perylene Red I got all over my finger. This is Natural Umber Reddish. You get the 100% unfiltered experience over on this channel. And it's just a really, really nice, I don't think it's that warm, to be honest. Like, not that reddish. It's just a really nice brown, which I think would mix really well. So you can make a lot of nice neutrals using this colour. And I don't think I was shopping for browns when I was buying my first set of paints, because I wanted to have more fun colours. But actually now I think that I would need a brown in my collection, and I would choose that over the grey titanium. Though I guess the honourable mention, since this was also excluding the Aquarius Black, which I would not use again and cannot swatch because my paint is kind of dried up, is that I would include buff titanium instead of the Aquarius Grey. Not only because it is lighter and warmer than the Aquarius Grey, like it's a buff colour, but because it's less granulating, and so I find it's much more forgiving in mixes, and I generally just prefer that sort of warmer tone from it. So yeah, I think maybe it's a sign of the times, what I chose before versus what I would choose now. But let me know in the comments below what you thought. Like I say, really, please do give the video a like and subscribe and leave a comment. It really helps my videos reach more people. So if you really like it and you think more people should see it, do those things. And I hope you really enjoyed this. It's been really interesting actually for me. I'm sorry it was all a little bit ad hoc, but I was really excited to just go through these colours, realize what my reaction was to this selection, and then what my gut feeling is of the colours I would choose now and how those are different. So hopefully that was useful to somebody. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and I will see you in 2 weeks with another video. Bye everybody.